Awesome. Well, welcome, Lauren. And tell me a little bit about yourself. You have a plumbing company. I'm excited. To talk shop is always fun. We're obviously doing a lot of building and remodeling, so I'm excited. So tell me kind of where you got started, where are you located, and what areas do you service, and what types of project are you looking for?
Okay, yeah. I'm Lauren Howard. I'm with Prestige Plumbing Works. We are in Burlington, Connecticut. The company actually got started in Torrington, and my partner is the one to thank for starting the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
He got started before me. We worked at the same companies for almost 12 years, and we just always liked working together since the beginning. And he was my apprentice at one point, so I always like to bust his chops about that. But now it was like at one point he needed help, and I was already doing a little bit of side work with him while I was still working at the other company. But I jumped off, and we decided the partnership was the way to go. He had the drive, and I had a lot of business stuff to add to that. So so pretty much we service all of Litchfield County.
Yep.
And parts of Hartford County. We don't go anywhere outside of that, just for logistics and efficiency. But our company is really just built on good presentation, professionalism, reliability, and quality of work. We like to say that our business is built on integrity.
Mm-hmm.
And we hire in that way too, because we don't just want the best plumbers. We want people who are good people.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's hard to create a good person, it's easy to create a good plumber.
Love it. I mean, and how did you get into it? Because I think if I were to do it over again, definitely get into being a plumber or electrician. And when I was growing up, you went into the trades because you weren't great at school, but doing it now is it's gold. It's the best decision. I mean, we do a lot on this podcast of pushing, guys, get into the trades. It's the one thing that AI is not taking over.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's, the average plumber out there is probably 55 or 60, tired, gonna retire, gonna close the company because they didn't build it big enough to be able to sell it.
Right.
So, I mean, what kind of what sparked you in your interest? And being a plumber is not like you just wake up one day. You've got to go to some school.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be an apprentice, get your hours in. So how did that start?
So basically, my grandfather had his own oil company.
Mm-hmm.
He delivered oil to everyone in Wolcott, Connecticut. And basically, I would hop in the truck with him. I'd pull the hose. And, being an oil guy, he serviced boilers and burners. And so I would help him do that. But, in reality, he was a plumber. He had a heating license, but he also had a plumbing license. So, there were certain times when he would plumb. And I don't remember exactly when I first started, but, I was a little kid and I was doing it with him. I got pictures, and I was probably, 12 years old. Just going with him every once in a while, weekends, summers. And so as I got a little older, I was going to go into high school, and I wanted to go to a technical high school because, I wanted to do something about what my grandfather did. So I went to Caner Tech in Waterbury.
Nice.
I actually grew up in Waterbury, so it was, that's how I ended up in Caner. And I actually started doing all the exploratory programs because you try all the trades and all the things they got to offer. And I was going to be an electrician. My father told me to try to be an electrician because of technology and all this crap. But I obviously tried plumbing too. And it turned out that I wasn't even any good at electrical just by getting my hands on it for the first time.
Right.
But plumbing was already kind of there. So I was good at it. I got a good grade in it, and so that's where I moved into. After high school, I didn't even do plumbing for a couple of years. I didn't know how to get a job.
Right.
I was going to work with my grandfather, but he was just about to retire. And I was in like retail and fast food. I had like 3 jobs, and I was walking to work in Waterbury, going to the mall, going to Sports Authority,
Yeah, love it.
whatever. But
Yeah.
I finally, one of my friends was working for an electrical company, and he was, working alongside this plumbing company looking for an apprentice. I had called, I don't even know how many in the yellow pages. I called so many companies. No one wanted an apprentice because, they're a liability. And
Right.
so I got this opportunity. I showed up at a commuter lot in a suit, and I met this guy,
Nice.
and he's like, "What is
Yeah.
this guy doing?" And I was like, "I'm not taking any chances, dude. I need this." I was not like I lived by myself since I was 17, so I was not in a position to
Right.
fail.
Yep.
And so I got the job, and it was actually residential, like construction. So we did like Carabetta's in New London. We
Yeah.
did New Haven housing authority projects, New Britain housing authority projects. Did a whole bunch of houses. I probably worked in, I don't even know, 500 units plus. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But all ditto work. And actually, when I was getting good and I finally got my license, it took 4 years of doing that to get my license. And then I wanted more, and the company that I was working with couldn't provide it. So I looked for more jobs. I ended up going to a company that did sewage treatment. And so they build water plants, sewer plants, or renovate them. So I was in sewage treatment and water treatment for, I think it was 9 years. And my partner was at the first company I was at, and he helped me get into this company.
Yeah. Nice.
So yeah, I did all these things, totally different spectrum of
Right.
work. Like I walked through a lot of the pipe that I installed. Machines install this pipe, not just your hands. So I learned a lot about being extremely meticulous with how to do pipe rather than just slapping it in because it's
Right.
the same unit as the last.
Right.
But then, I got entrepreneurial. I started trying to do other things. I wanted to get out of plumbing. I became a realtor. I wrote a book.
Oh, nice.
I bought rental properties. I tried to do a photography business. I did all sorts of crap, and basically just learned that I needed to plumb my way out of this pipe dream. So, yeah, I got my contractor's license. I only needed 2 years of having my license, but I took almost 10 before I finally decided because I was never going to run a business.
Yeah.
And that's right about the time that my partner was having some problems. His wife got cancer, and I was like, dude, I'm going to help you out. I'll just do the work. You guys do your thing. And then he wanted me to join the company, and we decided on a partnership. Nice. So I just kind of fell into it. I was never planning on doing that. Yep. And now it's been the best ever because, he's an awesome person to work with.
Yep.
We have like mindsets, and, we've really created something that is even better than I thought I would have done. So
Gotcha.
that's where I'm at.
That's awesome. I mean, and you kind of, bootstrapping it. That's an awesome story to be able to start and then figure out, go after different, industries, but also develops you to understand how to be, work with customers and all that is those experiences help, to run your own company you need to have had experience in a lot of different things to understand how it works.
Yeah.
And I think you've landed on the one that's actually in really need. Like
right.
There's a huge demand for plumbers and people that just show up and answer their phone. So what are you guys specializing in? You have that industrial background, but do you do just mostly residential? Is it new construction? Is it remodeling? Is it, more of the repair or service work? What are your,
Yeah, so we mainly want to focus on service.
mm-hmm.
So, repairs, we'll do installations
Yep.
and, servicing of fixtures
Yep.
or like water heaters. We do water treatment, wells, basically if it has water in the house and it's not heat, we do it. We replace it, we fix it,
Gotcha.
whatever it comes down to. We do bathroom models. We have a bunch going on, and but like in the future, our main goal is to just focus on
Yeah.
residential service.
I think that's super smart, because services is you can have a reoccurring. So if you're servicing, water treatment, you can, create service contracts,
Mm-hmm.
which is really good reoccurring revenue. But also that's probably one of the bigger demands, where there's so many people that need to replace that toilet, and there's obviously, you can charge, there's a little bit more room in the margins for those smaller ticket items when
Mm-hmm.
you come in than, in a, like, if you're working for GCs and you're doing new construction, those guys are just sitting there trying to figure out how they can save a percentage here, a
Mm-hmm.
percentage there, and you're always an expense.
Right.
So, those guys that are set up to do new construction. I mean, you have to be able to do the volume,
Mm-hmm.
and then also you have to be able to beat up your suppliers to get your pipe $1 cheaper.
Yeah.
That's a tough industry. So you're really smart to be into the service. And I can tell you're like a good dude. You show up, and like people are, your guys are going to be successful, and for years to come too, because of the demand.
Right.
So if you're in service, I love asking questions.
I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah. But like, is there any brands that you're just like, stay away from? Because I think people, when we're doing remodels and stuff, we're always being like, hey, people are always like, well, we want these toilets. And we're like, where are you guys getting some of these fixtures?
Mm-hmm.
People will buy stuff on Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden it shows up and it's from China.
Right.
And we're like trying to figure out, it doesn't even have the same fittings.
Mm-hmm.
And what are your favorite brands right now, kind of?
So our favorite brands, I mean, generally, I think Kohler is one of the better at the moment.
Yeah.
Kohler is like the new American standard.
Mm-hmm.
As before, Kohler was like the top notch, best of the best, and American Standard was like the, middle class, good to
Mm-hmm.
go. I think Kohler's at that point.
Yeah.
But, they're installer friendly. They have really, lasting products. They're serviceable.
Mm-hmm.
And, they're not the cheapest thing, but they're also like, they're good products.
Yeah.
There are certain products that we don't like to do,
Mm-hmm.
but our company offers a 1-year warranty on like all of our work.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to get some kind of product that is from Amazon or wherever it's from, we will install it. We don't care what it is, but we're not going to offer a warranty for something that you bought off Amazon or that you quickly grabbed from Home Depot.
Right.
Simply because, we don't know the nitty gritty of like the warranties, the serviceability, how the things need to happen. And, it's one thing that we can do in order to help the customer fit their budget.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, if they do want to do that, like they're kind of compromising their full service experience.
Right. And I think, we kind of talk about this all the time with the clients. Like, it's the big cost of this job is the labor.
Mm-hmm.
For you to spend an extra $100 on that faucet and upgrade it, it's well worth, because you're going to save in 3 or 4 years on the cheap one. You've got to hire the plumber to come back in for a couple $100 to swap it out. When if you just spent an extra 100, you could maybe get it to go for 10 years.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, 100%, man.
what have you found for one of the big reasons? Is it the internal parts usually? What, you know?
You know, I think it's not necessarily the internal parts. I think it's more of the parts that they use to hold things together.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you know, some parts have, I don't know how to explain it, but like they have certain places where the screws go in, or they have certain places where the faucet, like there's holes in the vanity
Mm-hmm.
and the faucet goes in.
Right.
Like there's threads on it to hold it down. Some of the faucets are using plastic threads.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the faucets are using brass. Some are using stainless. Some are using whatever, right? So but there's also the fact of like, some of them are just screwed on.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them have a ring and then you have to use like a compression thing, or some of them are using like 5 different pieces of hardware just to hold it together.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you're leaving room for things to rot, or you're leaving
Right.
room for things to break or loosen up. And I think if it's really simple, it's not necessarily the best option. But if it's really complicated,
Yeah.
it's also not the best
Yeah.
option, you
Yeah.
know? So I think that's really where it lies for us, not necessarily the components,
Mm-hmm.
because, you know, you end up in houses with all different types of water,
Mm-hmm.
different types of people, you know, some people wear shoes that don't fall apart, and some people wear shoes
Right.
that they can keep going forever and they're made out of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, same goes with fixtures. You know, some guys slam the water on for some reason and they slam it back off.
Yeah.
And you know,
Funny.
so like those people should look for something a little bit more rigid and maybe
Right.
with metal on the inside. But the majority of fixtures are made with a lot of plastic now.
Mm-hmm.
And the plastic helps because the water destroys things that are metal.
Right.
But, you know, it really is just serviceability to me,
Mm-hmm.
because like you said, someone's going to spend a little bit less money to get a cheaper product. They are spending a lot of money on the labor, and labor's just getting more expensive. There's no holding it back.
Right.
The insurance for everything is ridiculous. The cost of vans and the cost of tools and it's ridiculous. So cost of labor is super high. And then, you know, if I have to come and service it and it's going to take me 2 hours to service it because it's a pain in the ass,
Right.
then, you know, that's not worth it. But if it's serviceable, I would provide that product, because I think even in the future, even though I'm going to spend less time there, you know, it's going to make the customer feel better because my price doesn't have to be up here to service their product.
Right. And those big brands, the Kohlers, you know, a lot of times they're using the same type of valves. So you might even be stocking some of those, you know, those common valves. So we really try to push, you know, the client, stay in these different categories, and stop. You know, we do a lot with interior designers too, and they like to get crazy.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, you know, you can get crazy, but it's got to stay in this brand.
Right.
I don't want you, you know, you find in this, and what people don't realize is like these new brands that come out, they haven't been tested either.
Right.
You know, and they haven't been around long enough, and there's brands that come and go.
Yeah.
You know,
Definitely. Some people think that, you know, it's like you get what you pay for, right?
Right.
And I think that's really common to think like that, but it's not always necessarily true.
Right.
Like you can go to some of these places and buy a $2,000 faucet or something, and nobody's put it in yet.
Mm-hmm.
But like, can you get the parts? Is it still going to be there in 10 years when it doesn't work? Is it going to be discontinued?
Right.
You know, like you're not necessarily always getting what you're paying for. You know, your experience down the line in the longevity of what you're actually going to hold on to is really what you're paying for. So that's what you got to look at. Especially if you like don't care how much money you spend,
Right.
that you should especially be looking at that, because then you're going to buy something you don't need for too much.
And rely on the experts. You know, ask your contractor. You know, ask you. Hey, what do you like doing? You know, I think a lot of people don't rely on the hey, listen, I'm installing, you know, hundreds and thousands of these. I probably know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
right.
You kind of talked about water, and I think a lot of people don't realize that there's a lot of areas in Connecticut that have hard water, and you're absolutely right. Like what will, and I'll let you talk about it, but what do you do? I mean, there's ways that you can kind of protect a lot of your stuff, right? And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a ton of different types of systems that you
Mhm.
can install to treat your water. And, you know, if you're not testing your water,
Mhm.
you should.
Yeah.
If you have a system in your house, you should still test your water.
Mhm.
Because if you're depending on the earth to create this perfectly consistent type of water, like it's not going to happen. Like the earth
Right.
changes, everything changes. So like your water quality can change. But yeah, if you're worried about your fixtures and your pipe and everything, I think a lot of people automatically assume, oh, I need a water softener.
Mhm.
It's the most common thing. But it's not always the thing that's doing what they think it's doing.
Mhm.
A lot of people have acidic water,
Right.
and acidic water is doing a lot more damage.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's the combination of both.
Yep.
So like testing your water tells you how exactly to treat the water.
Mhm.
And on top of it, like the well is going to create a bunch of bacterias. Like
Mhm.
there's other things in some of these well waters that we just don't know.
Right.
There can be like I can't even tell you how many different things, but
Mhm.
like there's manganese, there's iron in a lot of water.
Yep.
Iron can create bacterias that can
Yep.
really affect your health. But a lot of these things stain your fixtures.
Yeah.
They stain
Yep.
red, they stain blue, or like you get white calcium buildup.
Mhm.
That those are all parts of hard acidic or iron based
Right.
water, and those are the most common.
Mhm.
But there's also total dissolved solids.
Mhm.
And total dissolved solids is measured in parts per millionth, like most chemicals and things. But your parts per millionth in your water of total dissolved solids can, tell you whether your body's actually going to absorb all that water or
Mhm.
not. Is it
Right.
going to turn it to waste, or is it just going to get rid of the water?
Wow.
And you absorb those total dissolved
Mhm.
solids, and it's hard to tell you what exactly
Right.
those are because it's a vague term.
Right.
But that's where the different types of filters come in. That's where testing
Yep.
regularly, even if it's every 5 years,
Mhm.
like just a test,
Right.
for us, a water test is $100. Like get the water tested so you know you're in good shape, and, take care of your water treatment system.
Mhm.
It doesn't just run forever.
Yep.
It has a life. It has media that has to be changed, or has a certain amount of flow that you can use before it's not doing its job anymore.
Mhm.
And I think people like to just, most of plumbing, they like to just set it and forget it.
Mhm.
It's done. I did it. I'm good. And it
Mhm.
costed a lot of money. So you're hoping that that's what it
Right.
is. But unfortunately, it's a job. It's a task
Yeah.
that has to be done and paid attention to.
Yeah. And it's in the basement. Nobody goes down there. The basement's usually full of garbage. They don't know where it is. But I think you mentioned 2 points there. There's the health side of water. That's really important. But then it's the acidity and the hardness of it, destroying some of, so when people might, if they don't have a system, it's a really good investment, even if it's $2,000, $5,000. You're investing in a protection plan against all of your fixtures in your home, your dishwasher, your fridge, all of these things. You're putting a block, to allow them so that now it's being taken by the softener or the treatment. I think we just dealt with one. People don't realize the acidic water. It's not even hitting your fixtures, it's also hitting your pipes.
Right.
So all of a sudden, you've got, and this is copper pipes, which is all of a sudden you got pinholes in your piping because of this city in the water. There's a couple areas in Connecticut that are really prevalent to that. So, I'm going to second that 100%. Get your water tested. A softener or more of a treatment can save you. Not just replacing your kitchen faucet, replacing your pipes. But replacing your pipes is usually it's going to be the water that's going to be, damaging your whole building when it's leaking.
Oh yeah, when it springs a leak,
Yeah,
and the water's not going to stop because
Right.
it's
So much
leaking.
pressure.
You know, it's just going to keep going. And then by the time you find out, who knows?
Yeah.
You could be lucky or you could not be lucky.
Right.
We actually put in systems that are like automatic shutoffs.
Oh, yeah, that's a good.
They measure your water, and so you can you could see how much water's coming out of the system or how much you're using. You could find out if any of your fixtures are like inefficient, like if your toilet flapper's leaking and you don't know. Your toilet flapper can waste like 200 gallons of water a day, and your bill's like going through the roof and you don't know why. You know, this system will measure that. But if something actually leaks, like it springs a leak from a pipe burst or from a pinhole from acidity or whatever, like it's going to be like, something's wrong. Do you know what's going on? And if you don't respond, it just shuts your water off. So then you can save ridiculous amounts from damages like that. So those are really cool smart water monitoring systems.
That should be just the normal. That should be part of code.
Yeah, right. Point. It should.
Just shut it down. And you know, what's the worst case scenario is it melt, you know, it doesn't work perfectly each time, and you know, you have one or two times a year or whatever where, you know, your shower stops.
Yeah, right.
You know, but it the peace of mind for because that's, you know, we have a bit of rental properties, and you know, that's always like, that's a worst case. You know, when we did have a pipe freeze, and it's, you know, 2:00 in the morning, I'm driving 90 down Route 8, you know, just trying to get over there so I can shut it off.
Right.
Because you know, you get a phone call, there's water pouring down on my face, and I'm sleeping.
Yeah, right.
You know?
It freaks you out. And I mean, yeah, that, and like you know, it adds to a lot of things too. Like we have the housing shortage and stuff, right? So if housing are getting damaged, you know, like and people have to spend all these bills, like they could just do something like abandon the house.
Right.
And someone's got to come in and spend all the money to fix it on themselves. Or insurance companies, our insurance is all going up because they're going to have to pay for all those damages and stuff. And
I think insurance companies should pay to put those in.
They should.
I mean, if you think about it, the losses that they would eliminate.
Seriously.
You know, because I would say that's the biggest. So, and it hooks up to the internet now too, right? And
app
you know,
on
it's
your
an
phone.
app on your phone. That's pretty much a lot of stuff too. Even doesn't, like the water softeners now.
A lot of them are Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like the other thing would be like the health of the water, right? So your water that you drink is affecting your body. It's affecting your energy. It's affecting your brain health. It's affecting your heart health, your organs, your bones. You know, like that stuff is really important. And there's other things, you know, people can do reverse osmosis systems. They can do systems that, you know, take all of the things out of your water to make it safe to drink.
Right.
And city water is another one people get scared of.
Yeah.
And just because you don't have a well doesn't mean you don't need to treat your water. It's something that, you know, shouldn't be ignored.
I love that because, you know, people are like, I got city water, you know, they test it, but the chlorine, like we have a treatment center system to take out the chlorine. We have city water.
Right.
And it's better for your skin. It's obviously better for your health because, you know, they have very loose guidelines of how well it has, you know, they just have to make sure the water doesn't make you like sick.
Right. Exactly.
If it's just making you a little sick, you're fine.
Then you're good. It's drinkable.
Yeah. So yeah, water is a whole thing. What about water heaters? Do you have any? Are you a fan of? Or you know, I would imagine you service those too.
Yeah. So we service. We like to say that you should service your water heater annually, and most of manufacturers will actually have that in their owner's manual.
Yeah.
Their water heater needs to be serviced every year in order for it to maintain the warranty. And, you know, some companies.
That's interesting. I mean, you got to think, you know, people are like, oh, I got a 15-year warranty on this thing. No, you didn't, because you didn't service it.
Yeah, you didn't service it once.
Yeah.
And, you know, some companies, they're probably just going to do it.
Right.
But not all of them.
Yeah.
And, you know, for good reason, you know, like a lot of companies, like just in the history of business, will go out of business because their warranty they were just too loose on it.
Right.
And so they have to give up all of their products for free, and then they go out of business, you know? So yeah, water heaters need service. And on top of that, like, you know, when something's coming or if something is not good before it breaks, and then same thing, leaks all over the basement.
Right.
Or you just have no hot water and it's 6 o'clock at night and you're trying to take a shower.
Yep.
And now you're trying to call a plumber for an emergency call.
Right.
And it's costing you an arm and a leg because this dude's got to get out of his dinner with his family to come and fix your water heater that may not even be able to be fixed because supply houses are closed. He's not carrying a water heater in his truck for some reason because nobody really does. And, you know, it's a whole thing. I truly believe that an easy, simple, just water heater service to check everything real quick every year is, you know, it's just like your boiler. You got to service your boiler, so you might as well service your water heater.
I love it because it's, you know, we talk about this a lot, this preemptive, you know, do it and, you know, get you in, it's a couple $100 or whatever, and now you're saving that time when when it just exploded and it's Christmas Eve and you're going to pay double time. And then even it's not even a cost. It's just going to be like, you might be out of a hot water heater for at least a day or two. I mean, if the supply house is closed and you don't have one on your truck. So what is, like, when you come in to do a water heater service, what does that entail?
So it depends on the water heater. So, you know, there's electric, there's indirect, there's gas, propane, indirect, or I just said that, on demand. Hot water heaters are new. You know, some people have domestic coil on their boiler, but, you know, most of them, they need to be flushed. For on demands and domestic coils, you know, they need to have a descaled flush.
Yep.
And for regular water heaters, you know, you're really just looking to empty it out, you know, fast fill it, empty it out a couple times just to make sure no sediment's built up and, you know, nothing's, you know, eating away at the side of the tank. Most tanked water heaters need their anode rods changed, and they're technically supposed to be changed every 2 years according to the manufacturer's spec. So some tanks don't have them because they're stainless tanks, but most tanks have them.
Right.
And, you know, those anode rods, they keep the electrolysis in the water from eating the tank rather than, you know, and doing that, it'll eat the anode rod instead. Right. So if you don't ever replace that, most of the time, that's why your tank ends up leaking. Right. And so servicing will obviously keep the tank from doing that. And, you know, nobody wants to change their water heater because it's expensive. Right. And if you got to do it every 6 years or 8 years, it sucks. But if you can do it every 15 years, then, you know,
change out the rods a few times. And again, it has to do with what type of water that's coming in. And you might have to do that every, you know, sooner than later because the water's just killing it.
Yeah. But you also, like, check the igniters, check the pilot, check the burner, you know, check how much gas is coming into it, check the elements, check the thermostats, just all depending on whatever type of tank it is. And, yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of different things that should be done, but like for us, we have a checklist per type of water heater, and you just go down the checklist so nobody can miss anything or mess anything up, and then the customer gets the full, you know, like, report so they know what we went through. But yeah, I mean, it can take a little bit of time, but generally, you know, like, we have a fair price on servicing water heaters. So
and it's peace of mind. Because again, you guys will start to see, hey, this stuff, you know, it's breaking down. We need to change this out. Then the client doesn't have to worry. You know, they know it's going to be good. I think, you know, the tankless have been more popular, more recently, and, you know, I think it's nice. I mean, you know, it's you don't have it. You're not keeping there. It's efficient, but what people, you know, need to understand is that it's kind of like one of those coffee makers. Like you need to descale it. You need to clean it out, or, you know, when the coffee's not coming out right, you know, or it's not getting hot. It's exactly a similar system. So, you know, that's usually too late when you're not getting the hot water,
Right.
or there's a problem. But that's the first thing is, feel that, hey, I didn't my shower wasn't quite as hot as I'm used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Call you,
Yeah.
immediately, so that you're not replacing the whole system.
Yeah. Pressure too.
Yeah.
A lot of people end up with low pressure in the shower,
Right.
or just on the hot side.
Yeah.
And it can, most of the time it can be just because it needs to be flushed, or it could be because there's scaling going on. It could be that there's something going on downstairs,
Right.
and it's either leaking, or it's got a bunch of buildup on it
Yeah.
because of the water type, or could be a whole bunch of different things. But yeah, there's hot water is one thing that people take for granted because it's just great to get in the shower, have hot water, you're done.
Yep.
But when it's not there, it's a panic.
Yeah. Love it. What do we got for time?
We're on 36 minutes.
Oh, good. That was quick.
Blast.
How about let's finish it off with anything coming into the springtime that anybody? I know that I'm throwing that at you, but anything people should think about going into springtime. Is there a certain time where you should do the maintenance on this stuff?
No, it's not ever time related,
Right.
I mean,
Right.
it could be any time.
Yeah. Are you doing do you do heating systems or?
We don't do anything with
Okay.
heat. No.
Yeah.
No, we don't have a heating license, so
Gotcha.
even though forever, plumbing and heating was the thing,
Right.
now since the licenses are separate and it's
Mhm.
harder to go through 12 years to get licenses rather than
Yeah,
just
gotcha.
6, it's a little crazy. But yeah, for spring, I mean, a lot of people have second homes that they want to re-winterize,
Right.
or hopefully you're shutting off your hose bib
Mhm.
through the winter,
Yeah.
and then turning it back on. Sometimes it still breaks.
Right.
We actually, we do, in April we have a 10% off hose bibs,
Nice.
which is something. But yeah, dude, I mean, spring is really just the time that if something was frozen, it's going to thaw out,
Mm-hmm.
and now you're going to know. Or if you notice something like water pressure difference, like
Mhm.
it could be that there was a slight blockage because your pipes are in bad places, and now it's not doing it anymore. It's fixed itself. It's good.
Mhm.
It's weird.
Right.
But who knows? Next year
Yeah.
could be colder. Wasn't
Yeah.
a cold winter. So, it may not have shown its face this year,
Mhm.
but don't expect for it not to show its face next year when it's actually
Yeah.
cold. But yeah.
I love that. It's you get a nice big cold snap and people are like, "Oh, it's fine. It's not leaking." And you're like, "No, because it's frozen."
Yeah.
Just wait till it starts thaw a little bit. Then you'll have all of your, then you're gonna have your leak because it's just frozen solid.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Lauren, that goes really quick. We could have kept going. I think we'll have to have you come back on at some point. Why don't you just tell everybody, Litchfield County?
Yeah,
And how can
Litchfield
they-
County,
yeah.
all of Litchfield County, and parts of Hartford County.
Yep.
We're in Burlington, Connecticut, so we're pretty much in the middle of that
Mhm.
whole realm. And we mostly do service. We are willing to still put pricing on bathroom remodels,
Mm-hmm.
but in the future, like we're phasing ourselves out of that.
Yep.
As time goes.
It's
But,
good to
yeah.
specialize. It's smart.
Yeah, try to stick to one thing.
And I think just to recap what we learned here is be preemptive, call Lauren, get him in, do a water test. When was the last time you serviced your hot water heater? When was the last time you even looked at your treatment?
Yeah, right.
Get ahead of this before, next thing you know, you're calling you and it's 8:00 at night. You have a serious problem.
Yeah.
Spend a few $100, whatever it costs, and have some peace of mind. And it might save you thousands down the road. I think that's the
Definitely.
big thing. People just don't want to think, it's working now. Well, put a little bit of an insurance policy on it,
Mm-hmm.
and be able to go to bed at night and know,
Yeah.
you're not gonna wake up to something. So
Yeah. Walk around your house, look at your plumbing.
yeah,
Don't ignore it.
yeah,
I know it's not the cell phone, so it's not
right.
in your pocket
Yeah,
going around
yeah,
with you everywhere you go.
yeah,
But I guarantee you it's going to cost you more than your cell phone when
Yeah.
it goes wrong.
Yeah.
So pay attention to it. Look through it just to know where everything is, and to know if something happens, you know what to do to shut it off and
Yeah.
to stop it quickly.
yeah. Know where your shut off is, and then call you and get one of those electronic ones.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. Awesome. Thanks, Lauren. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.